Have you ever paused for a moment and wondered how something nearly invisible could quietly shape the lives of millions of women without ever making headlines, without ever becoming the center of everyday conversation, and yet still be steadily rising beneath the surface of modern life? There is a growing concern unfolding across the United States, one that many women over the age of 30 are only beginning to recognize, and it challenges not just our understanding of health, but also our awareness of how lifestyle, relationships, and time itself can influence the body in ways we rarely expect. In the thoughtful and eye-opening work of Dr. Patricia J. Johnson, we are invited to look deeper beyond statistics and beyond assumptions into the quiet patterns that shape this reality, particularly the increasing cases of Trichomonas infections among women who are often considered experienced, informed, and cautious. What makes this rise so intriguing is not just the numbers, but the story behind them. A story that reflects how modern dating habits have evolved, how busy lives can delay attention to subtle symptoms, and how the belief that certain risks belong only to younger years can sometimes create a false sense of security. As women navigate careers, relationships, personal growth, and independence, they may unknowingly overlook small signals from their bodies, assuming that maturity naturally shields them from concerns they once associated with earlier stages of life. Yet, as Dr. Patricia J. Johnson emphasizes through her calm and reflective approach, awareness is not about fear, but about understanding the quiet shifts that occur as life progresses. The body does not operate on assumptions or social expectations. It responds to behavior, environment, and timing. And in this delicate balance, even something as simple as postponing a routine checkup or trusting that familiarity in a relationship guarantees safety can contribute to outcomes that feel surprising, even unsettling. This is not a narrative of blame, but rather one of awakening. An invitation to look honestly at how modern lifestyles intersect with health in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. Because sometimes the most important truths are not the loudest ones, but the ones that quietly wait for us to notice them, to question them, and ultimately to learn from them before they grow into something we can no longer ignore. As we move deeper into this unfolding reality, a more complex picture begins to emerge. One that is not defined by a single cause, but by a quiet convergence of choices, timing, and perception. And it is here that the tension begins to build in a way that many do not anticipate. The modern world has redefined connection, offering more opportunities to meet, to engage, and to form relationships later in life. Yet with that freedom comes a subtle shift in patterns that are not always fully understood. Women over 30 are often navigating new chapters, whether it is re-entering the dating world after long-term relationships, balancing demanding careers, or rediscovering independence. And in these transitions, health awareness can sometimes become secondary to the urgency of life itself. Dr. Patricia J. Johnson highlights that one of the most overlooked contributors to the rise in Trichomonas infections is not recklessness, but delay. A quiet postponement of testing, of asking questions, of taking small symptoms seriously because they do not seem urgent or disruptive enough to demand immediate attention. The suspense lies in this delay. Because what appears insignificant in the moment can quietly persist, developing without obvious warning signs, creating a hidden timeline that many women are unaware of until much later. There is also a psychological layer, a belief that experience naturally brings protection, that age equates to awareness, and while wisdom does grow with time, it does not automatically eliminate risk. In fact, familiarity can sometimes reduce caution, especially in relationships that feel safe or established, where conversations about testing or protection may feel unnecessary or even uncomfortable to initiate. This is where the unseen tension intensifies, because the absence of symptoms does not always mean the absence of infection, and the body can carry signals so subtle that they blend into the background of everyday life. Dr. Patricia J. Johnson gently reminds us that health is not something we secure once and carry unchanged through the years, but something that requires continuous attention, reflection, and action, especially as circumstances evolve. The rising trend is not just a statistic, it is a reflection of how easily awareness can drift when life becomes full, when priorities shift, and when the quiet messages of the body are postponed for another day, another week, another moment that feels more convenient, until suddenly the question is no longer whether something is happening, but how long it has been happening without notice. And as this realization settles in, there comes a powerful turning point, a moment where awareness transforms into intention and intention becomes action. Because the truth is that no trend, no matter how concerning, is beyond our ability to respond with clarity and purpose. The message that Dr. Patricia J. Johnson consistently brings forward is not one of alarm, but one of empowerment, reminding women that understanding these patterns is the first step toward changing them, and that even small, consistent choices can reshape outcomes in meaningful ways. Prevention begins not with fear, but with honesty, with the willingness to recognize that health requires ongoing attention, regardless of age, relationship status, or past experience, and that routine screening is not a sign of doubt or distrust, but a form of self-respect and responsibility. It is about normalizing conversations that may once have felt uncomfortable, about asking questions without hesitation, and about recognizing that modern lifestyles, while offering freedom and independence, also require a renewed level of awareness and care. There is strength in taking ownership of one's health, in scheduling that checkup without delay, in paying attention to subtle changes in the body, and in understanding that early action can prevent long-term complications that might otherwise go unnoticed. The rising cases of trichomonas among women over 30 are not just a warning. They are an invitation to shift perspective, to move from assumption to awareness, and from awareness to proactive care. And perhaps most importantly, this journey is not one that any woman has to navigate alone, because access to information, medical guidance, and supportive conversations has never been more available than it is today. What matters is the decision to engage with that knowledge, to take it seriously, and to apply it in ways that protect both present well-being and future health. In the end, the quiet truth that once went unnoticed can become a powerful source of clarity, guiding better choices and stronger habits that extend far beyond this single issue. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.